nächsten Talk und ihr dürft jetzt ehrlich sein, wer wollte denn schon immer mal eine Phishing-Mail?
Welcome to the English translation of the talk Phishing for the Company by Never Fox, live from the WICMP11. We appreciate your feedback. Please use the hashtag C3Lingo. Your translations for this talk are Wintermute and 24 triangles.
So, einen wunderschönen guten Morgen, wunderschönen guten Abend.
Hello everyone, good evening everyone, or whenever you watch this. So, hello, this is the title that I've submitted to the presentation, and you know, usually you turn in things like, in this case I've chosen this title to turn in. The original title, this is what you will expect, the original title is this, because I thought, well, in relation to the first talk that I was allowed to talk, I could use this one, and I don't really want to go to prison, that's a cool idea, but the most useless thing in a talk, the thing that nobody asks for, is who's standing in the front. So my profession at the moment is software quality management and nerd for everything. In private, I'm a part-time parent for preparation of bad humoristic results. The worst half of the zero-day podcast, I'm doing information security or detection of methods for circumventing physical security measures.
Mit Kabum sind Sachen gemeint, die wirklich Kabum machen. Macht immer wieder Spaß. Ich habe auch neuronale Probleme.
So I have several neural problems, at least that's what people tell me. I'm not diagnosed with anything. I know that with 90% that I have ADHD, probably. I have tics sometimes without any specific triggers or with any known triggers. I sometimes stutter a bit, which is not super great, which I don't like because stuttering is not very great. I have legasthenics. I have a form of dyslexia as well, but that is currently still being checked. And because Blue is currently here, I don't use Arch. So the slides you can basically ignore, as you've already may have noticed, except for a few ones that might be important for you. I'll be showing each of the slides for sufficient amounts of time so you can check it. If you have any questions, then please just make yourself known, and I hope that as long as I can fit you in, depending on where I am right now, just throw in the questions and we'll try to handle it. Other than that, just wait for later. Or just talk to me later when you see me at the event. Right. So, because I have not been asked for it, yes, I have brought an Easter egg. Why else would I have two plushies here? And so one of these you can actually win if you find the Easter egg as the first person.
Was so ungefähr das Easter Egg ist, aber es muss schon sehr nah dran sein an dem, was wirklich ist. Genau. Achso, genau.
If you haven't noticed yet, the slides are usually behind me, because basically we have the next one. So what do we have to expect? A brave new world. Unfortunately, what you can expect is a slight divergence from the talk, but that is necessary. In addition to that, I have a bit of software that I want to cover, and also what you are supposed to do to make it better, and then at the end some personal results that for anyone who wants to do this themselves. There is a disclaimer here. Stay on the right side of law and order, because there is a paragraph 202C in the German law. I have violated all of them. This is not legal advice. I have no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about my interpretation of the law. And all of my statements are my own opinion and my own opinion. Everything I'm saying here is purely hypothetical and not in accordance to reality. Of course, all of these screenshots are not real and have been faked. Now that we're clear from the legal side, how does it come to this? Well, basically, what happened is that there is a yearly event that I'm allowed to be part of, and in advance to that, a colleague asked me, do you know how to set up a mail server? And I told him, yes, I do, even though he said, from Linux? Yes, I do. I have a job for you. Please talk to my superior. And he did. And unfortunately for me, because that meant a lot of work for me, which was fun, however. So the mission, I had 4 goals to fulfill. In the context of the new event, all employees in the company should be subjected to a phishing email. This is a single company. The mail had to be as close to reality as possible, with one small hint that is an awareness email, and it should have something to click on. Okay, that's easy. There should be statistics to evaluate the data. Okay, that's not a problem. And the setup has to be so easy and robust that later it could be reused. Until that, it was fine. It was going to be simple. Create a script, send out the emails. Right, so the tooling. This will be very fast, it's very easy. And so what I thought about is looking at it. It is unfortunately a Debian bookworm. We're talking about mid of 2025, and we're already slightly behind, which is not super bad, but if you're planning for the future, not super great. There was also unknown software in the log files, but more on that later. I found an Apache 2 server, which was fine, but weird. There was an Nginx, which I did not understand at all. No one could explain this to me. There were self-signed certificates, and there was an unknown service running on port 443. What? Well, we'll cover that later. Now, that's what I found when I first accessed their system. Right. So what I was thinking then was, all right, I'll make a plan, I have my checklist, and these are the steps that I have to perform. I'm cleaning up the servers, I'm removing the unknown services, and I'm removing everything that is not needed, software, configurations, or data. I will update everything to the latest version, and I will set up all of the services that I need completely from zero. I'm creating the certificates, and I'm basically configuring everything for the needs that I have for this project. Now then, unfortunately, you get started and you notice, well, there are things that I expect. I will log into the server, I'm checking what is installed, I'm looking at what the setup is like in actions, I'm reading the log data. I am ending everything that is not essential, everything that's not essential, because who needs it? Less attack surface, and I am doing this action once, how it was done back in the day when they did this with a phishing campaign in the companies, and then I will notice that there will be conflicts, and then I will try to fix these conflicts in the config layer. Then I will try to update everything, and then I will get everything to work. And that's what I thought when I first connected to the system. Now for the laws, the real steps. So what I was doing is I was checking the OS version, because no one knew it. I update it. So basically everything gets updated just because. Then I'm looking at a list of the problems that users reported after you update the system, apart from not being able to send emails anymore. Then I removed everything that looked remotely like a mail server, because there was nothing being sent from the email server and there was a lot of conflicts in the log files. Then I noticed that you also have to remove the config data when you remove the old services. Okay, that is unused, but yeah, I was doing this in the middle of the night. I noticed that there are conflicts in syslog with port 443 that I have already mentioned. I removed the Apache 2, so yeah, TLS configuration. That was not the issue. The conflict was still there. Nginx gone. The conflict was still there. So no, when I removed Nginx, the conflict was removed, but there's still something running. So then something was really broken, because even Telnet, when I connected the port, it didn't know what was there. It didn't get anything back, no connection. Okay, so basically if Telnet says that there's nothing there, then something is definitely wrong. The thing about the unknown software. So basically, short interlude here, GoFish was running. That's basically, nobody told me about that. And then 2 weeks previously, I was actually told, and I forgot that it exists. And GoFish is an open source phishing framework, and you can use it to simulate phishing attacks. This is licensed under MIT license, and it is written in Go. It is easy to configure, because for me it's super easy to configure. And you can get a complete phishing campaign from the first email to the last interaction of the user with this system. It is super nice, and of course it speaks SSL and TLS on 443. So that was what was causing that port. Right, so what did I do? I registered a domain, I configured, and I want to create an email that is as close as possible to reality and the original, because I want to get as many people with this email. So I need an email that I can use that somehow is related to this company. So I basically did a typo squad domain. One single letter was different. I turned a G into a Q. That was the only difference in the domain. It was super similar. It was easy to remember. DNS entries, of course, had to be generated. So the host configuration for the server had to be generated. I had to confirm it with the domain. Postfix had to be installed as a proxy. Not very hard. Postfix configuration.
And it's of course important to only allow local connections, because postfix is the thing that actually then sends the emails. You do not want this to be in the internet, because if you're ultimately running a phishing campaign and someone from the outside uses Shodan or something and sees, oh, there's a postfix. In that case, you could search for that, and you can find, oh, there's a postfix, but I can't connect with it, because the postfix just says, nope, not allowed. And that's how it should be, because security and such. Then it's also important to know that postfix can work as a proxy, which is also not ideal, because I told my own server to send an email via that, and the proxy functionality just says, yeah, okay, I can do that. So I also had to remove that functionality. It's also pretty easy. I can also show that. Then fixing the config again to change the proxy functionality, writing a new update script for everything, and testing it. That's also very important. I also did that, and it worked. So I added it as a cron job.
weil das soll ja automatisiert werden.
because it should run automatically.
Ich mich dann hingestellt habe und gesagt, okay, wie ist denn eigentlich die Version von GoFish?
And so I looked, okay, which version of GoFish? Is it too old? And okay, so I updated that.
Dass GoFish zukünftig komplett automatisiert
And
startet.
then I made sure that GoFish could start automatically.
Weil ja GoFish schon
And because, okay, GoFish is already configured by my predecessor, who was also allowed to do that,
lokal reagiert hat,
so that GoFish could only react to local things, which is good,
damit verbinden konnte.
which is why I couldn't originally connect to it.
Machen wir jetzt
Okay.
Zertifikate dran.
Now we add certificates,
Wenn wir schon mal dran haben,
and if we already have all that,
können wir eigentlich auch bei Postfix machen.
now we can also do the same thing for Postfix. So certificates, everything is great, so even the big ones can accept you. There's a lot more email configuration you'd need to do,
Rechtlich darf ich keine Schritt-für-Schritt-Anleitung, wie man es macht.
but I'm not really going to talk about that because I'm not allowed to do a step-by-step
Deutsches Recht ist
thing to
Genau, danach
do
habe
legal
ich dann ein
stuff.
zweites
German
Update-Skript geschrieben.
law is strange. So I wrote a second update script because,
Gestern das Update-Skript, das ist
the
jetzt
update
gelaufen.
yesterday that
Wenn ich
ran,
jetzt in /boot
but if I
reingucke,
look in
ist da eine andere
/boot,
Kernel-Version
there's a
noch
different
daneben.
kernel version next to the current one.
Die aktuelle mit Uname
But the current one is so written in the second one that runs after the second one, updates everything again,
dass vielleicht doch noch irgendwas dazugekommen
because maybe there's something else that can be updated and then also restarts.
Dieses läuft nur einmal in der Woche.
But important, this one only runs once a week
So oft kommt kein Kernel.
because a kernel update doesn't happen that often, I hope.
So, dann habe ich noch einen Haufen gemacht, den ich wahrscheinlich vergessen habe. Hier
So I also did a lot of other things that I forgot to put here, and ultimately
mir und einem Kollegen.
allowed access to myself and a colleague to that system.
Offiziellem Statement ist so.
So the official state is that there's 5 to 7 people working on it, but in reality, most of the work was done by 2 people at the beginning, and towards the end, there was only mostly 1 person doing everything, and that was not me. And I'm really thankful to that person, because that person got a lot of flack. So we're going to create the emails. How do you create that? Really easy. You take the original email from something. In this case, we took the hotel of the event, we cancelled booking, so we got a real cancelling email from them. So on booking.com, you book something, you cancel immediately, just take something cheap. So something for $10 or something, those are really terrible, but they're great for this. And so you have the original text. We actually went one step further because all the emails actually came from the email, and so we changed the text to fix that, and then we added a link to the landing page that we control, because GoFish can support that. And very important, if you create such an email for such a campaign, please keep the style very clean and constant, because otherwise it's not going to work. I work with quality assurance, and my colleagues really look at that kind of stuff. And if there's something slightly different, they will notice. So we created a website. It was also pretty easy. We didn't need to do much. The website should only do one thing, which is return a PDF and immediately open it. So there's a bad thing about opening a file directly after the download internally for operating systems, because not all operating systems do that, and not all browsers like to allow that. I'm not exactly sure how, but there was a way to do it. How really that PDF was just opened, and there was a lot of stuff that I wasn't allowed to do, like identifying the actual operating system of the victim, or based on that, changing where the actual request goes, sending any data from the from that device, sending emails to the IT or campaign, the person in charge of the campaign, and persisting things by the user is also not something we are allowed to do. So I couldn't like show the user, oh, this is the data you entered. this is an awareness thing, this is what you entered, that you shouldn't have done that. We weren't allowed to do that either. So to create the PDF itself, it was just text. So that was really easy. That's as easy as it gets. And there's a lot of things on the PDF, on the internet to look for there. And of course, the word hexer has to be in there for the lulz. And there was a randomly generated wallet address that didn't work. If there's hexer in there, it can't work. I was told there is a wallet address with hexer in it, but we didn't know that at the time. So let's go fishing. So after we've done all of that, we can actually start and let's connect everything. I have two examples here. So the first one is, that's real, that is 100% real. That's how we, that was actually sent via mail, physical mail. That is a physical phishing mail. That's real. By snail mail. As you can see, the logo, Commerzbank and everything, it's all great. There's a lot of indications that this is not correct. And also the whole text is LLM generated and translated, I'm pretty sure, because otherwise it wouldn't be this inconsistent. Then, after that, we have a second screenshot that I've taken. My mail list. So everything that's purple I had to add, so you can't figure out where this originally came from. That was part of the deal, and yeah, works. I like it. It works. This is my original mail. Up there on cancel, you can click it. Great. And you might not expect it, but it worked. So important. You need to pick your targets well. And this is what was a lot of fun for me to build the target list. It was only 42 people, sadly, and really it was only 40. Because one person wasn't there anymore and was just as a legacy on the event in the data, and the other person was me. So if you remove these, it's only 40 people. Okay, so there were 40 victims manually picked. So you just go on the event, you don't log in, you close the application immediately and you open it again. I had to add a script that was fast enough for that, because during closing it had to be opened again. And then tell the thing to show you the the participants, and then that works. In this case, I had to pick a company name, in this case mine, and then you have a whole list without you having to pay a single cent or having much work at all. I really only needed to write the script for that could click everything fast enough. So yeah. After everything, we need to have the format for our own email, as I've already shown, how that needs to look. It was pretty easy. If you need to get the template for an email, you just need to send an email to the address in the imprint, and you'll get an answer back with the right template, which is always very funny. And there's in the footer, always the full email contact infos, and that's also where from that you can actually figure out how exactly it's built up. So first letter of the name, second letter of the name, and then the last name, stuff like that. In this case it's different. I've also seen that there's like A, B, C, or D, and then 5 digits. Okay, so that was also pretty easy. It was just a hierarchical thing. Just write to all A's. Okay, let's actually go fishing. So we created the campaign.
etwas hinzu, nämlich
you add all the users,
die Landingpage einmal,
define the landing
was
page,
wirklich so alles jetzt clicky-bunti schön ist, total
which was
cool,
really easy,
ich würde gerne einen Screenshot zeigen, aber dann kriege ich dann wieder ein Problem.
like
Habe ich ganz hinten, weil ganz
really easy to build. I also found
theoretisch.
looked up the law and saw what could have been a problem. You start the start data and the time. You need to actually calculate from when to when things should be sent, because there's often quotas.
Kurzer Abschweif. Wie viel Zeit habe ich noch?
Just a little question. How much time do I still have? Okay.
Schaffe ich.
I'll be able to do this. I hope. I'm not sure where exactly I am.
Ja, den Abschweif schaffen.
Yeah.
Also, wenn ihr E-Mails versendet an
If you send emails
Anbieter wie, was ich,
to Microsoft, for example, Microsoft, Google,
Facebook,
so Meta, etc., as recipients, they have an email quota.
Nicht, was die Größe angeht,
So not regarding the size, I mean that they also have, but also the amount of emails per second or per time unit.
In unserem Falle war es ein Microsoft.
In this case, it was a Microsoft server,
und die haben pro halbe Stunde
and there was a quota per half an hour, and we didn't want to run into that. I probably would have been able to send everything in 10 minutes, but I thought, okay, yeah, that wouldn't be great if everyone gets the same email at the same time. That would also be easy to spot, because everyone in that company has an iPhone in their pocket. And I just wanted to make sure that not all of them start ringing at the same time, because that would be easy to notice. So, yeah, please do make sure that you don't send all the emails at the same time. Just one there, etc. GoFish does have a good amount of functionality for that, where you can say, please do it in that amount of time, from to, and you just calculate from before how much and everything, and how much delay. So, number of the email addresses, and that how many per time unit. In this case, it was about 2 hours that this would take. So between 4 and 6 o'clock in the morning, that's a great time to cancel a hotel booking. You can definitely do that. And when people just wake up, they're not as awake yet, and so they might actually just click it.
Die 6 Uhr. Nicht ganz genau 6, aber so die.
So around 6 o'clock is when the last mail was sent. I could look at the exact time, but I haven't done that. I did not want to actually show screenshots of the application itself, but there's a much more fun part in a bit, because there's a backlash. If you do something like that, there's going to be a big backlash by the people, not the actual victims of the campaign. I mean, yeah, of course, from some of them as well, of course, but from people who clicked. So before I get to that, thank you for the whole company IT, because without them, that wouldn't have been possible. I'm really sorry for all of them, especially one of them, and they do know that they are meant. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry that I did that on a Sunday. But in Germany's usual work times are between 8 and 17 o'clock, and I did it on a Sunday, and then yeah, it was actually the original person who gave me the job, and I said that I made a mistake. The GoFish campaign wasn't correctly set up, but I did see that it was actually a Sunday. It was on purpose, because I was at the Bundeswehr, the German military, and there's generally a saying that
if anyone ever attacks us, it will be Friday, 17 o'clock. So then, thank you to all participants. Sorry to everyone who has clicked twice. I am not sorry. I would do this again every time. And we definitely need to be even closer to reality. Okay. Now, you always step on someone's feet, and to just I'll show the screenshot, and it doesn't work. Give me a second. Oh, where was that? I think in the talks. Yeah, screenshots. No, wrong monitor. And no wonder nothing works. So here it is. This was the result after the end of the campaign. Everything that's purple, again, that's data protection. I don't want to do finger pointing, I don't want to expose anyone. Because the campaign is to get awareness and not to have people get in the trap. So my intention, of course, is to troll people, of course, but I don't want to make fun of them. And in the end, I want to increase security, of course. So as you can see so nicely, on the timeline, actually we could have stopped the campaign 5 a.m. in the morning, but still went on for a couple more days. What is kind of fun is what you can see in the data once you've analyzed them.
Das ist ganz kurz vor Ende der Kampagne gewesen. Bei den CSV-Daten sieht man auch noch, dass
at the very end of the campaign in the CSV, you can see some people still clicked. And here's a couple answers, only paraphrased, of course. They've never been said exactly like this, but it's more or less right. So here's one. Emails like this, I think, are entirely opposite to what we should do. Okay, but then why did you click? Then if virus total tells me that there is nothing, then of course I can click multiple times. No, if virus total tells you that, then it only means that with 70% of probability, then maybe there might be something fine. Then if all virus scanners didn't find anything, then it could only be from you. No, it was not from the company's IT, it was not from anyone internal, it was from me. So no, this is wrong, just sit down. Should workers be afraid of emails? So yes, of course. Everything that comes from external might be an attempt to phish you, especially in a corporate environment. Yes. Then at the beginning it was fun, but now it isn't. This is one of my favorite sentences, because, yeah, well, and at the start it was fun. How often exactly did you click? And, no, okay. Maximum amount click was 6. And now, how could you do this to me? I have more important things to do on a Sunday. Why do you read your work emails on Sunday? That is not your problem. You should have done that on Monday. And almost you would have informed all customers. And this was not from a victim. So this person did not get a spam email. But to be honest, maybe that would have gotten a positive marketing spin to the whole thing. But, oh, okay, there were also positive reviews, because, well, sometimes there is actually a light at the end of the tunnel. So this much criminal energy I would not have expected from our IT company, and I can confirm that is not the case for our IT department, and that is just me. That was my criminal energy. I own it. Then on a Sunday, you have to think of that. Well, yeah, please. Here you go. And everyone who's ever worked in administration, yeah, that's how it works. And damn, if there wasn't that one little mistake, I would have clicked. Yeah, I think that is good. I like that people recognized it, and they have to be recognized. If they come from external, if they're from me, if they're from anyone else, they have to be recognized. And then my favorite comment, please, oh, sorry?
Die war fast so gut wie die echte.
No, that was almost as good as the real one. Which,
Ernsthaft, bei denen, wie gesagt,
Really?
alles paraphrasiert. Die wurden
of course, all
niemals so
paraphrased. This was never
aber
said
der
exactly
Sinn
like
ist
this,
da.
but
Und ich habe wirklich da gesessen,
that does get the point across. And I was like, what?
Echte.
Which real one?
Ich habe noch eine geschickt.
I only
die war
sent
echt,
one.
Und sie war von mir. Und
That one was real and was from me?
Weil ich
No?
hier super schlecht.
Someone raise their hand?
Nee? Okay.
No? Okay.
Läuft also.
So, yeah.
Aber ich habe auch Personal Learnings.
And at the end, personal learnings, of course.
InfoSec-Verantwortlichen müssen
The people responsible for InfoSec have to be involved, everyone. That is just a fact. The CIO has to be involved, the IT has to be involved. All of them, all of them have to be on board. The IT has to be on board because they will get the blame. And to be honest, I would never do this in my own company because if the IT is not ready to get the blame from the regular people, then you shouldn't do this because, and I can understand that as a victim this is annoying, but of course the IT is the wrong person to blame. By the way, such campaigns always come from information security, never from the IT, because that's not their job. And in the end, in every company, the IT people are absolute heroes, and they don't in this, and in this case, especially two people. And in the end, all preparations have to be done with highest secrecy. Because if I give this talk now and then try to fish you tomorrow, of course it won't work. Someone tried that once. Then important, point 5 is the most important one, change your life if you ever do this. The legal side has to be resolved. Get someone, ideally in writing, get the get the confirmation that you should do this, because otherwise you might really end up in jail. And 7, it's never a bad idea to ask if it is okay to give a talk about something like this, and then often you get it. Finally, there's the legal side to this, which is paragraph 202a, data espionage. Whoever prepares the commission of an offense
letztendlich unberechtigterweise die E-Mail-Adressen meiner gesamten Familie geholt. Und zwar auf eine Art und Weise, wie es halt dumm wäre.
Right, so basically what I've done is I've gotten the email addresses from my employees, which was not necessarily the way that it should have been. Right, so paragraph 202c, the preparation of capturing and reading data that is not intended for you. I have done that. I hope you can get the slides later. If you talk to me, I will give them to you if you want to. But there's another one, which is the paragraph 194, which is preparation of falsification of money and value icons. The money is not necessarily important, but the so in this case we are faking the email with an incorrect header. But you know what is a logo of a company? Yeah, it's called a trademark. Oh, but that could be a value icon. Well, so basically somebody could interpret that as falling under paragraph 194. So you know, I have much experience in this as a mouse does about space. But you know, where is okay? So there's something that can save us here, because if the actions of the people do not allow somebody else to do the same thing, what is important for this paragraph to be applied is that it has to be the intention of the person performing actions that fall under this paragraph to cause harm for this paragraph to actually be applied, which is not what I've done. I've done this to prevent additional harm, and so that's what is protecting me here. So thank you for bearing me during this talk. Thank you for the team that is sitting over there and over there to make this event possible. Thank you to the VOC for the recording and the translators. Thank you for the coffee cooking people and the cola people providing drinks. And now I would like to request an applause for all of these people from you. And if you want to reach me, here's my contact data. Right, so this is the last slide. Are there any questions or critique or insults? Please, not as bad. So first of all, you can get your own applause. Right, and now we do questions or distributing microphones.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, how many people actually fell victim to it and actually clicked on it? 10 people. So 10 out of 40, that's a quarter. If we did this much bigger, there were already campaigns, and it was about the same rate. At max, it was about like 400 people who got by that. So it's about a fourth. You get about a fourth if you do it right. If I was allowed to do things as I wanted to, I would have gotten more. Amazing, there's actually questions. Is go phishing actually meant for this? Yes. Sorry if I cut you off, please. If it's actually meant for these kinds of test things, or if it's an actual phishing tool that's meant for like actual phishing campaigns. Well, it would be usable if you really wanted to, but it is mostly in reality meant as an awareness tool. But yeah, I could think how I could maybe use this tool maliciously as well. Because I could send an email that looked real. They were actually sent to a real website that opened a real document. I could have also put code in there that would have been executed immediately. And that would have been really easy. So yeah. More questions, etc. More questions if there are.
If there are no further questions, I still have a minute. Oh, we'll see. 3, 2, 1. No. Okay, then not. So, thanks for listening to the English translation of Phishing for the Company, Raise Awareness to Increase Everyone's Safety by Nervoflix at WICMP11. Your translators were 42 Triangles, Teru, and Wintermute. We appreciate your feedback. Please email us at hello@c3lingo.org or use #c3lingo on Mastodon.
Schade. Beim nächsten. Dann danke ich.
Nochmal einen großen Applaus gerne.